One of the most common questions asked when embarking on a layout project is how to build roads. Today, we're going to show you our favorite method for recreating an aged asphalt and poured concrete road in a rural setting. To begin, decide where your roads are going to go by roughly drawing them on your layout surface. Next, it's time to start paving. There are 3 products that can be used for this: joint compound, spackle, or Woodland Scenic Smooth It. We're using a partially dried out spackle mixture, as this will allow for quicker results in the time it takes to produce this video. However, any of these materials will produce excellent results, with some just taking slightly longer to dry than others. Using a putty knife or similar tool, gently spread the mixture onto your surface and smooth it out. How neatly you need to stay within your lines will depend on the location and the intended condition of your road. For our asphalt road, we're replicating a rural back road which probably hasn't seen a lot of maintenance. With no defined edges necessary, going a little outside of the lines won't matter. Moving over to our concrete road, more care will need to be taken along the borders, as concrete roads are generally poured with more defined edges and tend to keep their shape much better over time. Once you've paved and smoothed out your surface, come back immediately and cut along the edges to create a well-defined border. Once this is complete, leave your roads to dry overnight. Once your roads are dry, it's time to remove any imperfections. We're using 220 grit sandpaper. Any coarser and you'll risk damaging your road surface. Lightly sand the surface until your pavement is to your liking. Then blow or brush any excess dust away. Your roads are now primed for detail. For the asphalt road, no further work needs to be done to the surface. You can now begin to apply your pavement color. Mission Model's medium gray or a similar matte acrylic is recommended. Make sure to spread evenly across the entire surface, including any divots or ridges. While the first coat of asphalt dries, we're moving back to the concrete road. Concrete roads are typically poured in sections, with small gaps noticeable between them. Using a craft knife, this is the best time to cut your surface into your desired sections. Now it's time to paint your concrete road. We're using a mixture of several off-white tan acrylics to achieve the desired color. For concrete, you want to avoid the standard grays and whites, as a light tan will have a more convincing tone to it. Whereas the direction of brush strokes doesn't matter on asphalt, with concrete, you can achieve a textured surface appearance by brushing from side to side rather than up and down. While this dries, your asphalt road should be dry enough to begin on the second coat. Make sure to cover evenly once again, paying attention to any especially light areas. Once this is completed, your concrete road should be ready for detailing. Making sure that it's dry, return with the craft knife and cut through your divots once again to break through any thick paint that might have obscured them. Now your road is ready for weathering. We're starting with a lighter sampling from PanPastel's Rust and Earth Pastel Mix to serve as a base layer of texture. Using a dry brush, you can gently apply this to the surface. Following this, we're coming back with a medium gray from PanPastel's Gray, Grime, and Soot Mix for a central layer of grime, oil, and exhaust accumulation. Apply this with slightly more force than the previous layer to achieve a more noticeable covering. Once applied, you can use your finger or a dry brush to spread it out to achieve a more muted natural appearance. We're also adding a lighter application of medium brown along the edges of the road to represent dirt and mud buildup on the parts of the surface less traveled. For a final touch, come back with a darker brown and trace your divots. Then return again with a brush to blend this in, creating an authentic look of buildup in the gaps. Now it's time to detail your asphalt road. Before applying any weathering pastels, to really give the road an authentic used appearance, you can add the illusion of cracks using a fine point Sharpie and patches using a thicker application of black paint. Once complete, it's time to blend your roadways into your scene. We're using Scenic Express natural soil and dirt for the immediate edges of our roads. applied over either standard craft glue or Woodland Scenic cement, with a combination of Scenic Express Spring Green Turf and Woodland Scenic's Fine Earth Blend for our ground further from the road. Once ready for weathering, come back with a dark gray and follow the same method as with the concrete road, applying along the length of the road before softening and spreading it with a dry brush or by hand. We're doing this twice to give the appearance of the road being used for bidirectional travel. Once this is done, you can come back with a light gray along the edges to add a hint of color variation. If you're using static grass, always make sure to clean up your roadways after applying. You can use the handy Woodland Scenics ModelVac and a dry brush for any remaining fragments. For a final touch, add road signs, barriers, vehicles, and anything else your scene could include.